Until some learners receive their matric results, the Independent Examinations Board will release those results at midnight tonight, while the Department of Basic Education will release results at midnight tomorrow. Last week, the quality control body, Umalusi, approved the 2018 National Senior Certificate, saying that there were no leaked exam papers. Nearly 800,000 learners wrote that senior certificate, which are overseen the exams by the Department of Education. A much smaller amount of students, about 12,000, mostly from private schools, wrote the IEB exams, and they will be receiving their results tonight. To discuss, we're joined by the CEO of the Independent Examinations Board, Anne Oberholzer, with us from our Pretoria studio. Ms. Oberholzer, thank you for being with us. What sort of results are you expecting?
Firstly, good evening, Francis, and yes, we're expecting more or less the same results as we've had in the past. A pass rate somewhere between 98 and 99%. As Umalusi looks after the standards and ensures a maintenance of standards, we're not expecting any major surprises.
There was a little controversy recently because the Gauteng MEC Panyaza Lesufi said it was very unfair that the maths results of IEB learners had been adjusted upwards in the IEB, but not for the senior certificate. So basically saying there was bias towards you. Umalusi has denied that. The IEB's comments.
Yes, I mean, standardization is a normal part of examination processes the world over. It's not unusual. And its intention and purpose is to protect the children from the vagaries of an examiner. If an examiner sets a difficult paper, why should 1 year's set of learners be disadvantaged in comparison with learners the year before or the year that follows? So for me, the issue of standardization is a critical part. Umalusi deals with it, and I have every faith in the Umalusi Assessment Standards Committee. They're a group of very competent and ethical professionals. So
let's be clear. So the IEB does not decide to raise the maths marks because they're not looking good. Umalusi does that.
Absolutely. And they don't just do it because they feel like doing it. They do it on the basis of a range of pieces of evidence that point to the fact that the examination may have been too difficult. We must also remember that if the exam paper is too easy, they bring the marks down. So if we look at this year in the IEB, for example, in 46 subjects, the marks remained raw, they were unchanged. 8 subjects, the marks were raised, and in 8 other subjects, the marks were brought down. So this is a normal process in exams.
And explain the standardization. So is this to ensure that an IEB exam this year matches an IEB exam last year, but it's not bringing together the IEB and the National Senior Certificate necessarily?
I would think that you probably need to speak to Umalusi directly about this, because in their processes they do deal with board-to-board comparability as well, through their moderation processes and so on. But as I said, they are best able to answer that question. I can only answer the questions that pertain directly to the IEB.
There has been a claim, and we saw that from Panyaza Lesufi again, that there should be one educational body, not two, one country. What is the justification for keeping the IEB going?
Perhaps again, if we look at independent education, it's enshrined in our constitution as a right, an individual right, human right. And therefore that makes that kind of conversation a political conversation. I'm an educator and I work in education, and I think perhaps that is a political question that the politicians need to address.
Yeah. It is going to come your way a lot. Can you maybe tell us what sort of education an IEB matriculant will receive? What is your aim at the end of it?
The aim of any independent education is to provide a society with the opportunity of choice. So a number of independent schools are religious-based schools, Jewish schools, Muslim schools, Christian schools, Other schools that follow particular educational philosophies, for example, Waldorf, Montessori. There are schools that offer international examinations. Independent education has its role insofar as it offers the vast majority, it offers the majority of students opportunities other than simply the state system. It doesn't mean that one system is better than the other. Very, very clearly that isn't the case when you look at a number of our state schools who provide a very good education to our learners and fulfill their role as educational institutions.
Panyaza Lesufi again suggested that maybe state education is becoming better and that's why they have to manipulate the IEB. Can you just comment on that? The IEB has always been seen as a harder exam. Do you believe it is still more challenging for students?
I believe that the IEB offers a different kind of exam insofar as our educational emphases are slightly different. However, we offer the same curriculum as the state, so we also get an NEC qualification at the end of it. When we're talking about standards, I really think it's a question that Umalusi needs to deal with because they are the guardians of the standards. So to say one exam is more difficult than another or easier than another is really a perception. It's a personal perception, what people may see or think. And I mean, Umalusi, if they are giving everybody an NEC, clearly they are assured of a comparability of standard.
Yeah. But Ms. Oberholzer, if someone came to you and said, should I send my kids to a school that offers IEB, surely you would offer something positive about that specific exam.
Well, I can offer something about the specific exam and the role it plays within the schools. But you never advise a person to send a child to a school because of the exam it does or because of a particular teacher or whatever.
Sure.
You have to do your homework with the school and see whether the school is offering your child what it is that your child needs and is looking for. So, for example, if your child is a brilliant musician, you would want to send them to a school that offers music and has a reputation for building musicians. If your child is a sportsman or a sportswoman, you would want to send them to a school that promotes that skill and that talent that they particularly have.
Yeah.
If you are looking for a school that's particularly geared to academics because your child is brilliant, then you would send your child to that school. So, I mean, I think the choice of school and the choice of exam is secondary to where does your child fit best in the atmosphere of the school, the ethos of the school, and your own feelings about being reassured about the school's ability to deal with your child.
The last thing on this, I heard parents talking the other day, so I don't know if this is a widespread comment or perception, but the one mother was complaining that maybe they've made it harder for their child who's not great academically to go to a private school because of that final exam, because of the standards maybe a bit harder. Any comment on that?
Well, again, I mean, we're talking again about standards, and that is a perceptional thing. What we try and do at the IEB is set questions that probe understanding and insight into a particular concept or phenomenon. In doing that, the expectation is that the teacher will teach accordingly. So instead of just saying to the child, open the textbook, chapter 5, and learn that, they will deal with the teaching differently. If I can use an example, if I were to say to you, define love, so the immediate reaction would be to go and find a dictionary, look up the word love, and learn that definition off by heart. If I were to say to you, what is love? Immediately I'm opening up a whole range of ideas. Is she talking about love between a husband and a wife? Is she talking about the love of God? Is she talking about the love of a mother for her child? Is she talking about, oh, I love Brad Pitt? Is she talking about, I love rugby? What does she mean? So immediately your whole perspective of the word love is broadened to cover a whole range of ideas and perceptions and concepts of love, which you're not going to get from a definition in a dictionary. So if you know that that is how somebody is going to be assessed, if you as a teacher know that, when you teach, you're not going to say to the child, define love. You will say to the child in the classroom, let's talk about love. What is love? And immediately you broaden the scope of the conversation.
Staying with standards, but a different debate in South Africa is whether standards have dropped over the years, or, are students prepared as well today as they were 10 years ago to go to varsity? What would you say comparing IEB exams now compared to 10 years ago?
Well, compared to 10 years ago, I don't think there has been a dramatic change. 10 years ago, if you said 20 years ago, I would say yes. Things have changed quite substantially, because 20 years ago was a major development in our country. And we've almost trebled the number of children that get to matric. And obviously in that there will be changes in what one perceives to be standards. So I mean, it goes to the kinds of things that if you broaden the spectrum of the learners that you're dealing with, you must broaden the spectrum of the assessment that you assess. And I think that is one of the reasons why we have in our system 4 different kinds of passes. You either just pass the NSC, you pass with entry to higher certificate study, you pass with entry to diploma study, or entry to bachelor degree study. 25 years ago perhaps is better. You either passed higher grade to get into university, or you just passed matric. There was no distinction or differentiation in your passes. So I think that we have changed, and we have opened our system to accommodate a far broader spectrum of learner than we did in the past.
Ms. Oberholzer, finally, we're going to speak to a clinical psychologist shortly, but what is your message to the learners who haven't got through or haven't achieved what they wanted to?
Yeah, this is always a tricky question. I think one of the key roles at a school, and teachers and parents, one of your commentators earlier was talking about the support that parents should be giving their children through this time. What is important to realize that a child is your child first, before they are an academic, before they are a grade 12 learner, before they are a singer, a dancer, musician. They are your child. And as a parent, your duty is to support them, encourage them to be whatever they want to be at whatever time they need to. And that you as a parent will support them through that journey, and will help them over the obstacles, and will praise them when the going is good. So for me, it is all about the personal support that a parent or family, close friends, teachers, schools give to learners during this time.
All right, thank you very much. That was the CEO of the IEB, Anne Oberholzer. Those results, mostly for private schools, coming out at midnight tonight. We take a short break.